All right, folks, time for PTS Patch Notes 6.0.0. We're doing this on Twitch, so we're going to have some comments for folks in chat. As I try to get myself all the way through this, we're going to skip over a good portion of this. And I am drinking, so do expect some flubbing. So, 6.0.0, we are going back to Skyrim, which we already were in part of Skyrim already, but we're going to full part of Skyrim, the Sovngarde and all that other good stuff. So, table of contents, Greymoor Chapter. Yep, we're going to take a look at some of the new sets, some of the new discussions here. I'm going to skip over some of the cosmetic stuff, housing, furnishings, motifs. We'll take a look at those actually on the PTS server. It doesn't make much sense to go over PTS patch notes for those. But we're also going to look at some of the base game changes, different fixes. I'm going to skip over a bunch of the quest stuff here as well. But let's get started here. So new zones, Western Skyrim and Blackreach are now going to be available. Gonna have new tutorials, all this good stuff. We have a new I don't know what we call it, skill line, Iniquities. We're able to go through and take a look at some of this stuff. Also, let's get that going. Some nice somber music as we go through. Last chapter, of course, but that's fine. You're gonna go to the leads, scrying, excavating, listen to Antiquities. Interesting here, they say scrying. Scrying was something they talked about way back when they were talking about spellcrafting. And I'm wondering if spellcrafting is just totally gone now, because that's actually being used as a in-game word now. Because scrying, I always heard about them talking about going out scrying some of the different items and some of the different spell components out there, and now they're using it here, which tells me it might be on the way to the dodo. Also, we have a few new items here that come with this as well. We can talk about that when it comes up. We have new trial kinds ages. From what I understand, it's going to be a little bit like Sunspire, but more streamlined. We'll take a look at that when we get onto the PTS server. But let's take a look particularly on the item sets that we're going to have here. So, Overland, Winter's Retreat, Light Armor. Magic Recovery, Maximum Magicka, 2 effects. And casting ability on will leave the effect on the ground and create a healing circle for 10 seconds. You and your allies for 2,358 health every 1 second while inside of the circle. The effect can occur once every 10 seconds. Interesting, this kind of looks a little bit like the Moongrave Fane approach to healing, leaving an effect down on the ground anytime that you leave a casting ability of the area effects. I kind of wonder if this is stemmed over more toward Sork healers, which I've been seeing doing great numbers inside dungeons using that set. So maybe they're looking to up the Sork, but the Magicka Sork healer there, because this definitely would work for them for some of their things like Splash Lightning and other good effects. Medium armor, weapon critical, weapon damage, and we dealing critical damage inflicts Hunter's Venom on your enemy for 2,241 poison damage on your target and nearby enemies for 1 second. The effect can occur once every 15 seconds. So one thing I was asking, I have not going to answer back, is how long this lasts. I'll take a look at PTS and see if there's a duration to it. I can go with it when we see it here, but depending on how long this lasts, it could be a good effect. It reminds me of Sheer Venom a bit, and it has a very good damage onto it as well. So yeah, this might be a proc set that's a little bit nasty depending on how long it goes, and especially in PvP with tight-knit groups, it can definitely be a nice game changer. If it's a short duration, let's say 4 seconds, 5 seconds, not really that great because you have a 15-second cooldown to that. And then Eternal Vigor, the heavy armor set, magic recovery, stamina recovery, health recovery, max health, and adds 337 stamina magic recovery while your health is above 50%, and adds a 1,000 health recovery when your health is below 50%. This is going to be annoying for PvP, especially here. PvP is one of those few places where health recovery is not affected by Battle Spirit. and other sets can raise it up quite a bit. We do have nerfs to some of those other sets, such as Troll King and Ogrims, so it might balance out, but I definitely see this being really annoying for folks. Also interesting as well, it kind of coincides with, I want to say it's one of the ones out of Mazatoon, Amber Plasm. It kind of reminds me of that with all the recovery it gives. But interesting, it's a heavy set instead of a light set. Thank you, Dimitris. Sorry. Okay, crafting. We can now craft 3 new sets here. Weapon Student's Favor, weapon damage, spell damage, physical penetration, spell penetration, weapon damage, spell damage, and increase your physical and spell penetration by 13,355 against off-balance enemies. Yikes. Okay, let's take a drink for this one. This is more than what you could get from Spriggans, and more than what you could get from Spinners. Granted, getting somebody off balance is not exactly that easy, so you're not going to have that 5-piece bonus up all the time here, but you have pretty good solid middle of the road stats here. You get a lot of physical and spell penetration with the 3 sets there. I'm thinking this goes in with New Monocolite, and this is going to be a powerhouse if it's done right. Certain builds, especially Mage DK, can get off balance just easily. So, yeah, this is going to be nasty. Ooh. Actually, I can just out of this, too. You can do this as Shun's Favor, and then also add that new set, that new Monster Helm set that comes out of one of the new dungeons there. Ooh, yeah, that'd be nasty. So anytime that you offset the enemy from the Unhallowed Grave helmet, and it's unblockable as well, so it's gonna go off. That's nasty. Yeah. PvPers are not. I don't know. PvPers might like this, might hate this, but this will definitely work to go against a lot of the high mitigation builds. Dragon's Appetite, weapon damage, stamina recovery. Increase your damage done by bleeding by 225. Dealing non-bleeding damage to bleeding enemies will generate a persistent stack of Dragon's Appetite, up to once per second. After 10 seconds, consume your Dragon's Appetite, then heal for 6,415. The heal, that's not really that big. I don't see. But the question here is, increase your damage done to bleeding enemies by 225. Is that your weapon damage that's getting increased? Is it, okay, every ability that you have, including all your dots that are on bleeding enemies, is going to be increased by 225, in which case any type of stacking bleed build, Templars, for example, are going to be doing 225 more damage per tick on anything? And does non-bleeding damage include... does that include any dots that you put on an enemy too? If it does, then it's going to be every 1 second. So every 10 seconds, you're getting a 6,415 heal. All right. Take a drink for that. Spells to Parasite. It's probably going to get nerfed. Yeah, a few of these are probably getting nerfed again. This is first run of PTS. Spell damage, spell critical, weapon, match magicka. When you deal damage, you restore 63 magicka. That can occur once every 2.5 seconds. So it's a little different here. They're putting it at a faster rate instead of putting it at 1 second. 4 stacks of that's going to be 120. No, that's 4 times 6. Shit. 24? Yeah. 24, 12, 252. If you want to look at it that way, that's 252 magicka while your magic recovery every second there. Yeah, so it's just a recovery set here. It's just adding 252 magicka every 1 second you're attacking an enemy. I don't see that being that really overpowered. Trial sets. So this is the set that's coming out of the new trial. This is probably going to get nerfed as well. Or laughed at, one or the other. 2-piece gives you spell penetration. Roaring Opportunist. Gain Major Slayer at all times. Spell damage. Perfected, a 5-piece bonus gives you 1096 magicka. Dealing damage with fully charged heavy attacks to an enemy sets them off balance and grants you and 11 group members Major Slayer, increasing your damage done. Yep. Roaring Opportunist can only affect a target once every 2 seconds. I like it, I hate it. Reason I dislike this though is because only one person in the group should be using this, right? Because if I can only work on one monster at a time, that's, yeah. So maybe you have 2 people rolling it back and forth here, but dealing damage with a fully charged heavy attack to an enemy that's been set off balance. Anyone with a easy raid notifier is going to be able to get that up, and every 22 seconds is usually the cooldown time for an off balance enemy anyways. Well, actually, no. Right, they made the changes to off balance, so you don't lose off balance as soon as you hit somebody with a heavy attack. So yeah, that's why they probably limited it like that. Yeah, only one person I'd see in a group running this. So yeah, one person runs this, another person's gonna run False Gods. Exactly. But that kind of sucks though. You work to get this full on set, and then you find out somebody else in the trial, oh, I've already got the perfected set over here. Like, oh, I can't use mine. So it's a nice set here. I just like these sets here where only one person in the group can really use it. Yandiri's Might, stamina DPS. Weapon damage, mage, minor slayer. Stamina recovery, physical penetration on perfected. And dealing critical damage grants you stack of Giant's Endurance up to 1/8 second. Each stack of Giant's Endurance adds 10 stamina recovery up to 5 stacks. Dealing damage, so fully charged heavy attack removes all these Giant's Endurances and gives you Giant's Might for 10 seconds, increasing your damage done by 158 per stack removed. You can cannot have Giant's Endurance and Might active at the same time. All right, so 5 times, so you're gonna get a good simple math on this. 750 weapon damage. So 750 weapon damage with this here for 10 seconds here. Then after that, you can start building up your stamina recovery again. Really kind of birchy set with this. You're gonna have at least a bit of downtime while you try working up your stacks again. But critical damage, 1 every second here. So let's assume that you put a bunch of dots on an enemy, and at least one of those dots crit every 1 second. So you're going to have 5 seconds of cooldown, then 10 seconds of uptime, as long as you weave in a heavy attack, and make sure you get that timing right. Potentially good on this one here, because the cooldown time is actually helping you get back your stamina to kind of help you build up and make sure your stamina recovery sets. And one of the big issues I do see with stamina recovery builds is, stamina builds in general, is their stamina recovery kind of sucks unless you weave in a lot of heavy attacks. This gives you a reason to put a heavy attack in and gives you stamina recovery while you're still working on it. If you're bad at the weaving and you can't necessarily get the fully charged heavy attack in on the right time, you're still getting 500 stamina recovery while you're using this here. So you're not totally blown out of the water while you're waiting for it. Use more abilities if that's your choice, and then put a heavy attack in while you're waiting. Or when you're ready, I mean, not when you're waiting. That wouldn't make sense. The worst thing I could see about this is that you don't have a way to track what's the how many Giant's Endurances you have, and you pop it too early, and you do 4 stacks, 3 stacks, or something like that while you're doing the other one. All right, Kind's Wind Healing. Magic recovery, Aegis, healing done, magic recovery. Casting an ability or drinking a potion grades a major that applies a major buff on yourself or an ally, creates a pool of Kind's Blessings for 4 seconds. You and your allies standing in Kind's Blessing will restore 508 stamina and magicka every 1 second. So if I concur once every 10 seconds. Low up time here. You got 4 seconds up and then 10 seconds down. So 6 seconds down down total here. In addition to that, a major buff. Casting ability for major buff. So it wouldn't work with restoration heavy attack. I'd have to look through the classes again and see what major buffs you would cast as a healer to do this. I mean, this gives recovery here. I get that. I don't know if many groups will use this though. Again, healers and tanks are typically ones that buff or debuff the group, and typically their focus is going to be damage and debuff and like penetration on the enemy. I don't see this working that well. I think this set might just be ignored. Vol's Command, tanking, stamina, minor Aegis, max health, healing taken, unperfected, and after dealing damage to fully charged heavy attack, apply major Aegis to you and 5 nearby group members for 10 seconds, reducing damage taken from a dungeon, trial, or arena enemies by 15%. So if I concur once every 28 seconds. It's 18 seconds downtime. 5 nearby group members. Like they intend this. So they intend this for 6 people, right? Yourself and 5 others. Random, but you know you're going to have 12 people in a group. You're going to have 10 people in a group here. No, I don't see this working that well, unfortunately. Damage mitigation isn't that big for certain trial groups, especially the ones that run extremely fast inside trials groups. They tried running this as like, you know, min-max to the nth degree, and that's what most people try to copy. They're not going to run this. Maybe you're going to run with pugs and you want to run this so you can keep them up alive longer, but they shouldn't stand in red to begin with. So yeah, I don't see this being that great. 18 seconds downtime from the 10 minus the 28. Only covers 6 people. Maybe if they increase this up to all 12 of your party members, I'd agree with it, but I mean, you're not going to run this twice. The only thing I can think they could do is make this an individual counter, so it can occur every 28 seconds per person. That might be another way they can handle it. So I do it once, get all these guys, and then, oh, another one coming in, another heavy attack, pop it and get the rest of the people in the group. That's the only thing I can think of that would work. All right, and now these aren't item sets here. If I understand correctly, these are the mythic here, the new Iniquities that we can find. You can only have one of these working at a time here. So they're overpowered in a way, but they don't work together as it works here. So first up, Bloodlord's Embrace, heavy chest. Dealing damage with your bash attack, place a persistent, uncleansable blood curse on an enemy. You can only have one blood curse on an enemy at a time. In dealing additional bash damage, moves the blood curse. Does that mean removes the blood curse? I don't really understand that there. Or do I bash another enemy and move the blood curse to them? I think that's what they mean here. I'll have to test it out. Blocking an attack with a blood cursed enemy restores 685 magicka to you. This effect can occur once every 1 second. Kind of OP, I think. Especially if you're running, like, say, an ice tank build. Just to get that ice staff out there and block, you're going to get 685 magicka every time that you're blocking. So you're getting magicka back for blocking, and then swap over to your swordboard side. You're still getting magicka back. I think that's a really interesting one for tanking there. Thrasher and Stranglers. This is going to be annoying for PvPers from what I think, from what I saw. Killing an enemy grants you persistent stack of Slow's Call, up to 20 stacks. Each stack increases your spell damage by 150, but also increases your damage taken by 2%. Removing the Thrasher and Stranglers, crouching, or going invisible removes Slow's Call. So they kind of made this out to be for Nightblades, but then they put in the condition there that if you go into stealth, you're going to lose all of your Slow's Call. I like it. I kind of like it. It's going to make sure that, okay, if you put in your full 20 stacks in there, you're going to be taking 40% more damage, right? But you can also potentially get, how much spell damage is that? 200, 50, 300, 3,000 spell damage. But then you're taking 3,000 spell damage. Fuck. I can't. That can't be right. No, that is right, isn't it? No, that is right. 20 stacks. Spell damage up by 150. That's 3,000. That's going to be 3,000 spell damage. Oh no! Oh no! I think that's going to be nerfed. Regardless of the fact that they're taking extra damage there, somebody's just got to be hiding in the background, kill a bunch of like random NPC mobs, and then just do force pulse on somebody over and over again. They're going to drop. I can't. This is going to be nerfed. This has got to be nerfed. Yeah, this is going to trigger people. Well, the good thing is that unless somebody is like on a huge rampage inside of Battlegrounds, that's not going to apply, right? Bomb Blades Dream and IC. I don't think so. Well, maybe. The big thing with Bomb Blades is they had the stealth to be able to go in and out, and they can't use stealth with this. If they use stealth, they lose all their stacks. They'd have to be really hurting to want to get out of there, and most likely, if they're getting hurt, they're already dead. Snow Trenders, medium feet. You are immune to snares and immobilizations that can be cleansed. While in combat, you cannot sprint. So you're going to run a gap closer on your bar, or you're going to be a Sork. Problem solved. Right? Like that's. Yeah, you can't sprint, but you still have gap closers. You still have bolt escape. You still have various ways to get major expedition. And honestly, sprinting is not a good thing inside most dungeons or most PvP. Like you're gonna be wasting out your stamina here, and you're gonna be crowd controlled pretty easily, or you're not gonna have stamina for your abilities. So yeah, if you calculate your jump with your from the balcony with the Alchemist in full buff. Oh, that's true. Yeah. If you go in, you kill the enemies, right? And you're sitting on your spawn location. Sorry, we're talking about the Stranglers here. So let's say you're just sitting up in your balcony waiting for somebody to come by, and you're just killing enemies, and you see somebody come by, and you just like peek your head over and just like pop them like a sniper. Yeah, they'll go down quick. Ooh, that'd be okay. You just said the magic word there. Remain hidden without sneaking. Crouching or going invisible. No, so invisible pops won't work. Yeah, you're gonna have to line of sight. You're gonna have to be clever and line of sight yourself out of it. Still, it's an interesting set. I can see the salt already growing from that set though. Sorry. Back to Snow Traders though. I think this actually is an interesting set. I'd actually probably use this as main. Because one thing I cannot stand is when I'm trying to do something inside PvP and I'm just stunned constantly. So yeah, these Snow Traders actually look interesting. It's also one piece here, so it's not like I'm getting anything out of it. I'm losing a set bonus out of it. Ring of the Wild Hunt, ring. Increase the movement speed by 15% while in combat. Increase the movement speed by 45% when you're out of combat. I like this set. This works well for any lobies out there who are just trying to get around and explore. A real nice ring to have. In addition to that, oh yeah, that's right. I had questions on this one in particular. If it stacks with other sources of speed, say, let's say, Major Expedition, does it stack with your horse mount? Can it stack with fjords? Other sets like that. Reason being, because if you have a scroll runner, that scroll runner is going to be long gone with this set here. Yeah, Prisoners, Rags, Stamork, Steed, Divines, and that ring. And a Stork. Yeah, but I was considering more fjords, because fjords will raise up your max sprinting distance or sprint speed plus this 45%. That thing is not, you're gone. And if that's on your flag carrier, that's a really quick character right there. That's a character that's probably going to get banned out of Cyrodiil because the server thinks they're using cheat engine. Okay, now, while your stamina is less than 50%, your magic recovery is 450. While your magicka is less than 50%, increase your stamina recovery by 450. This is interesting. Oh, sorry, I just totally skipped over one here. I skipped over several. Sorry, Malakith's Band of Brutality. Increase your damage done by 25%, but you cannot deal critical damage. Really interesting here. I actually like it. And the reason I like this here is because I have a lot of... I know a lot of builds out there that kind of have good damage to them, but don't have a lot of crit to them. If you're not like a Nightblade, let's say you're maybe a Warden or... I want to say DKs too. DK, well, depends. A lot of DKs, let's say you're using Elfbane. Oh yeah. Elfbane plus this set, plus Grothdar. You're going to lose one of your... Oh, you made major... That would be a good trade-off though, wouldn't it? See, the thing I'm thinking about right now, guys, is a lot of the top Trials runners right now are using Grothdar, Elfbane, using 3 pieces of perfect one of the ones that gives a Minor Slayer on top of it, and then using the Asylum and Maelstrom staffs. With this though, you'd be getting an extra 25% damage versus the 15% damage that you get, right? So it's an extra 10% damage. So yeah, you might go with this instead. Right? See, every one of these here gives you Minor Slayer, which gives you 25%, 5% damage at the 3 slot. So yeah, if your build calls for 3 pieces of any trial set here to get the Minor Slayer here, why would you go with that? You just go with 2 sets and then go down here, get your increased damage by 25% here. You're not doing critical damage, but a lot of those builds, they don't use critical damage. Interesting. Of course, it wouldn't work for builds out there that do use critical damage. I don't know. I'll be interested. I'll see if Outcast or anyone else runs the numbers with that. I'd be really interested to see if this really pumps up some of the damage to some of those builds that are just low on crit but high on damage. All right, sorry. Moving on. Necros are going to lose the inbuilt execute passives. Yeah, like I said, it wouldn't be useful for everyone here, but any class that's just kind of consistent with damage and not using a lot of crit, I definitely see being useful for that. So, as I skipped before here, torque of toenail consistency. So, when you use stamina, while your stamina is less than 50%, you get magic recovery for 450. While your magic is less than 50%, you get stamina recovery for 150. Interesting set. I don't think I'd use it myself. I think maybe healers would use it at best. Maybe some PvPers. I'd be interested also to see if these could be used inside lobbies. I didn't see where these had a level to them or anything like that. So yeah, inside lobby PvP, I also see this being a huge issue too. Lobby PvP with these stranglers. Oh, people are just gonna pop. They don't do damage anyways. It's I can just imagine the screams of frustration from Hoax already. All right, new collectibles. Pets, mementos, costumes, hats, adornments, skins, outfits, undaunted trophies. Yep. New achievements. Yep. New dies and titles. So we got 2 new dies, a bunch of new titles. Don't look at them, they're all spoilers. New homes. Snowmelt Suite, Proudspire Manor, Bastion of Sanguis. So you got a vampire house, a nice noble house here, and kind of a nice little apartment area, I believe. New furnishings from all these new ones here. New vampiric paintings, which I'm actually kind of looking forward to. Recipe for vampiric furnishings, which I don't know what is vampiric furnishings like a bed with spikes on it or something. New motifs, Blackreach Vanguard, and Ancestral High Elf, Ancestral Orc, Nord chapters and associated titles, and kind of weird. All right. Gothic, dark feeling, but more like the darkest of dark, the blackest night, like my soul. New alchemy, we have 3 new ingredients: Crimson Noonroot, Bile Coagulant, Charis eggs. So we're gonna see Charis here. Does that mean we're also gonna see snow elves, maybe? All 3 new reagents have new effects and minor timidity. That's an Abner Tharn word right there. Charis eggs, yes. Chungus eggs. With the alchemy system, timidity is the opposite of heroism. Reagents, the heroism trait will cancel combinations. Timidity, yep, makes sense. Is a debuff that consumes a target's ultimate points while in combat. When a poison with timidity trait is procced on a target, it will consume the target's ultimate points for a short amount of time. If for some reason you're to poison yourself, it would consume your ultimate points. Makes sense. Enchanting, adding the new essence rune known as Ideko. Which can occasionally be obtained through bonus loot of the Antiquity system. This rune makes 2 new types of jewelry: prismatic recovery and reduced skill cost. All right, vampire based updates here. Basically goes over all these stuff. Using some of these abilities are going to be criminal acts, meaning don't use these in town, guys. You'll be chased by guards, okay? Now, also an interesting thing as well, they've changed the way this works. In a nutshell, you feed, you get stronger. You don't feed, you get weaker, but you do your base stuff better. So, in general, all vampire abilities that persist have new icons, updated the visual effects, refunded skill points. All vampire started at stage 1, you have to feed to get to stage 4. Yep. Vampire stage now lasts 4 hours. When a vampire stage expires, it will decrease your vampire stage. Vampire stage will not lose duration. Each vampire stage grants a bonus, and each vampire stage grants penalties and decreases your health recovery, increases your damage taken by flame, and also increases your cost for your non-vampire abilities. So that's another big one. Oof, that's a little loud too. right, sorry, just adjusting the sound there. So, feeding provides a unique Feed plays a unique cutscene animation, and you will feed on your unsuspecting victim, similar to Blade of Woe. Some vampire abilities have been designated criminal acts. Most merchants will not deal with you as a vampire at stage 4, though they may be able to convince otherwise. Priests of Arcade are always available to remove your curse if you need it. Oh yeah. Yeah, they added more to the lore as well. I'm just hoping that we get on PTS and it's going to show fangs on vampires, but we'll see. So Drain Essence, it's been removed or replaced with Eviscerate. Misform. This ability has been moved to the 5th skill line. All experience with Misform has been preserved. This ability is now a toggle. Draining your magicka every second while on. It still requires you to channel it while it's toggled, and it cannot be you cannot use other abilities while in Misform. First level is the Major Expedition version. The Blood Mist now actually heals you while you're in Blood Mist form. So I think that's a pretty good option there. Bat Storm has now been replaced by Blood Scion. Eviscerate. Okay, new skill. Damage directly with... new skill to direct damage. I can talk, really. This new skill is a direct damage melee attack that deals more damage based on your own missing health. Blood for blood cost health to use and increases the damage done based on your own health missing. Artillery burst will always critical strike if you're under half health. Blood frenzy, new skill. New skill has been a permanent buff and can be toggled on and off for cooldown. While it's toggled on, you get a massive bonus to weapon and spell damage, but your health is drained every second and you cannot be healed by other players. I want to see if you can actually use this with health recovery. Simmering Frenzy, increasing weapon and spell damage done, but also increasing the health cost from the longer it remains toggled on. Sated Fury, when it toggles off, you heal up for a portion of the health you spent while it was toggled on. Right? Vampir Drain, a new skill is Channel Beam, which is kind of like the old one we had for Drain Essence. While this ability deals low damage to an enemy, but heals you for a significant amount for your missing health over time. First one is Drain Vigor, restores a portion of your stamina over the channel. Exhilarating Drain, generates ultimate when channeled. Zero health recovery in stage 4. Interesting. Still, I could be at stage 1 and keep it on and get a significant boost to my abilities, right? I'm gonna test that. I'm gonna see what that's like. Mesmerized. So Vampire, this kind of splits it out here. So you had Drain Essence here, which would work as a channel drain and also as a stun. Now they kind of split it out here. So Vampir Drain is up here, Mesmerize is down here. Interesting here. Again, the one issue I see with this, channeled. I mean, if you're in a dungeon or if you're in a trial, are you going to be channeling abilities? Right? Like, I don't see people channeling, especially on a target that doesn't have CC. I like the concept here. If they made it so like I could do this ability and then still use other abilities, I would like it. So maybe I do a Vampiric Drain ability while they're close to me, that beam remains on and I can still do other abilities on top of that. And if they move too far, the beam is broken. That seems like it could work. But having that on the entire time, you can't do any of their abilities, I think it's just still not going to be used. I don't see anyone using it. Can be interrupted with Crushing or Destro? Absolutely. Yeah, and the person's not going to be stunned, so they're going to be able to even bash you to stop it, right? Yeah. I don't... I I think Exhilarating Drain would probably be used the most, simply because it gives ultimate over time. Question is it get better than Major Heroism? We'll have to see. But anyways, Mesmerized. So now this is the crowd control ability that we used to have in Drain Essence. And the interesting thing, it's a frontal cone in front of you, making a nice conal AoE stun instead of just something where you just have everyone around you and boop, oh, everyone's crowd controlled. You actually have to focus on where you're putting this and figure out what you're going to do with it here. Hypnosis affects all enemies in front of you instead of, so this morph here affects all enemies around you instead of just the enemies in front of you. Or enemies are snared after the stun ends. I probably would go Stupefy here. Hypnosis is good for just the standard bomb build, but Stupefy is nice if you want to make sure the enemy's not running away after they break free. Blood Scion. So this is the new ultimate. And guess what? You're going to transform into a horrific vampire monster. Transforming instantly heals you for full health. While transformed, you have increased health, stamina, and magicka, and you heal for a percentage of the damage caused. And you can see enemies through walls. They finally made vampires fun again. Storming Scion. Bat storms are around you as you transform, dealing damage to enemies that come close. Perfect Scion. You ascend to Vampire Stage 5 while transformed, which grants you a benefit from Vampire Stage 4 with none of the drawbacks. Yeah, I like it. Though, if we're transforming, we should get new abilities on the transformation bar like werewolves do, right? Just thinking. Savage Feeding has been removed from the game and replaced with Feed. Supernatural Recovery has been removed from the game and replaced with Dark Stalker. Blood Ritual. Abilities has been moved to the 4th passive skill line. That's the one that would let you bite people and turn them into vampires. Undeath. This ability is now moved from the 5th passive skill to the 5th passive skill line. Now reduces damage up to 15 to 30% based on a percentage of missing health. Unnatural Resistance. This ability has been removed from the game and replaced with the Undeath. Dark Stalker. This ability has been moved to the 2nd pass of the skill line. Now decreases the time to enter crouch by 25 to 50% at all times, instead of only at night. Continues to allow you to ignore movement speed penalty while sneaking. I still love this ability. Feed. New skill is the now 1st passive line, allowing you to allocate you free, automatically allocated for free upon entering the Vampire skill line. It allows you to feed on enemies described with the bonus and penalties of Vampire stage. All right. Strike from the Shadows, new skill. This new skill is the 3rd passive. Allows you to have short bonus of weapon and spell damage after leaving Sneak, Invisibility, or Mist form. All right, Night Demetrius. I can't pronounce it right now. Sorry. So, interesting. This is going to be nice for Nightblades, I think. Really nice for Nightblades, actually. Unnatural Movement. This new skill is a 6th passive. It reduces the cost of sprint and causes you to become invisible. After continuously sprinting. What? It reduces the cost of sprint and causes you to become invisible after continuously sprinting. So vampires become Nightblades in a way. All right, I don't know how Nightblades are gonna feel about that, but we'll see. All right, here's another one that's gonna cause some issues. Take a drink if you need to. Server optimization and stabilities. Non-combat pets and behaviors have been rewritten to put less strain on the servers. Also, you're going to be seeing some pets coming in, working in closer toward you, and doing other things like that, having weird behavior, nothing out of the new. They're non-combat pets though, so let's not get upset about that. The player character loading process now is multi-threaded on the server to improve performance. I'd like to see that. Please, more multi-threading. Client optimization and stability. Fixture creation process in the client's now multi-threaded. Again, more multi-threading. This allows the client to utilize multiple cores and when constructing and drawing assets on the screen, improving the overall performance. Good. Optimize how characters are drawn in the client, spreading the workload over multiple cores, improving overall performance. Further improved performance in situations with a lot of effects. Made numerous small optimizations to reduce memory usage on the clients. Hopefully PvP is going to be fixed and we're not going to have constant memory leaks inside Cyrodiil. I will believe it when I see it though. Imperial City updates. PvPers, take a drink. Imperial City daily quests underwent a significant change this update, with primary goal of making them more friendly for multiplayer, easier to get involved in, and brought to more modern ESO standards. Note that does not make the getting to places, fighting monsters, or returning back to your base any easier. All right. Sewer patrol money bosses are now properly tagged as such for drops in future event rewards. District-based patrolling bosses and sewer-based treasure scams now respawn more quickly. Added, all daily quests are now ungated and from needing to complete the main story. You know, picked up the dailies. Yep. Historically accurate. Both conditions. Slay the Jadroth. Now the same steps. Yeah, this kind of goes over some of the quests here. I'm not going to get into too much detail on that. Housing precision editing mode. So this makes it easier to get precise editing on your housing. New furnishings, new achievements, new motifs. Template information. Don't have to worry about that until we get into PTS. Audio. You hear music throughout Greymoor that's not yet final. The audio for Ragnar the Red. Not ready yet. Dueling is currently not functional in Western Skyrim. They'll be fixing in future PTS. The data curve for the gain on critical resistance stats is currently malfunctioning. It'll be corrected in future PTS patch notes. The reason I read that one out loud and fully is because we have a bit of a question here. If you haven't seen the updates for some of the combat changes, they're supposed to be adding in baseline critical resistance to all characters across the board. It's not mentioned in these patch notes though. I'm still waiting to see it. They have made other changes to other things we'll see further down the line, but they're supposed to give baseline critical resistance. The reason they're doing that is because they want to get more folks out of using in pen and looking at some of these other traits. So we'll have to see if they get it here fixed eventually. I'm interested to see what the eventual value is going to be, but it's not listed here right now. Some vampire abilities are missing audio and missing visual effects. All right. Some feed animations have temporary or missing visual effects. Okay, so there's going to be multiple feed animations. Fix some of the silent stuff here. Achievements getting fixed. Art animation. Gameplay. Necromancer. Tethered abilities such as Restoring Tether or Shocking Siphon are now again on global cooldown, and now have their targeting improved further. So they took out the global cooldown for them, and now they're back to where they should be supposedly. So we'll have to test that out. Bone Tyrant, Bone Goliath. The heal from this ability is morphs no longer trigger mend wounds or other morphs, and states it requires dealing damage to proc. Fixed an issue with the ability as morphs would end abruptly if they were ranked while it was active. Grave Grasp. Fixed an issue with the casting's rapid succession will cause a final area of effect to fail to spawn. Imperial City Prison, White Gold Tower. Monster abilities. Eldritch Memories, monster abilities, general quests. Quests. Maelstrom Arena. Yeah, we'll get into those. We're gonna get into those when we talk about sets here, but few more changes to Zalmaja, which is nice. Dungeons, love dungeons. General, okay, combat and abilities. Synergies in the hierarchy have been determined. Which synergy apply appears first when multiple are present. Quest, dungeon, arena, and trial end synergies now appear over player source synergies. Furthermore, a player source synergy, the following rule sets apply. Healing, shield, synergies are utmost priority. Utility, buff, and debuff while they appear, and strictly damage-related synergies are the last in the priority line. For example, if you have Purify, Conduit, and Combustion available, you'll have Purify first, Combustion, Utility, and then Conduit. So that's one way that they're trying to improve and make it a little more understandable of what synergies you're getting. Fixing issue with Thorn and Spiked Armor, or Thursday Harbinger were not considered direct damage. A lot of these changes here are about direct damage changes, so things that might have been dots at one point might not be direct damage. Other things that might have not been recognized as direct damage for certain other abilities to proc are now being recognized. Fixing issue with partially charged heavy attacks or medium attacks were not considered direct damage. Updated and optimized the logic for player passes to reduce server load. Does not change how they're actually being working, just how they're loading on the server, so it hopefully doesn't lag as much. Updated numerous proc conditions logics, preventing the server from attempting to parse logic in situations where they would not succeed anyways. Numerous issues with gap closure abilities. A curse of charge could not be used while immobilized. Good to see. Pet basic attacks no longer remove players' stealth or invisibility. Only special area effect attacks that require special activation, such as blast bones or ultimates, will remove stealth. In some instances, there are still stealth attacks, stealth targets. If the target has gained stealth in the time by the time they're beginning the attack, but the attack does not remove it. Pet summoning abilities now have preventable window after completing their cast to prevent that prevents them from attempting to summon them again while they're still already alive. Pets now properly inherit their parents' bonuses related to armor, such as Constellation or Prodigy. Fixed an issue where pets can fail to summon if you immediately begin sprinting after casting. Fixed an issue where sprinting in the middle of casting channel time would cause failure to obtain the speed bonus. Fixed an issue where you can still be on your mount while block casting the summon cast time. Fixed issues related to bar swapping while not having a weapon equipped on one of your other bars. Fixed numerous issues with audio consuming quick slotted items would play while you're unable to activate them. Reduce the damage from bashing by 80%. Part of the reason they did this is because, they mentioned here, is bashing is supposed to be for interrupts, it's utility, it's less about damage. So a lot of folks that were using block canceling to raise up the damage, they're not going to get that anymore. Increase the health reduction from Battle Spirit from 60% up from 50%. So yeah, they're saying that people were rubber banding too much health recovery and heals and using one ability to heal all the damage they're getting inside PvP. So they upped the Battle Spirit negativity debuff down to I guess up to 60% here. So you're only getting about 40% of the healing that you would in normal PvE. Buffs and debuffs. Updated multiple abilities and item sets that grant the caster permanent or major minor buffs to make them more work consistently with temporary sources of major minor buffs. This fix should help reduce situations of permanent sources of major minor buffs that would clash with one another and cancel the effects. It also helps situations where item sets require major or minor buffs, major or minor buffs or debuffs apply the proc more appropriately. Dragonite Fury Grip, Empowering Chains. Spell ability now grants only one stack of power rather than two. Don't see why that was a big deal. Nightblade Siphoning Strikes. Fix an issue where this ability is morphs cannot proc off men wounds and its morphs. The Soul Stealing ability is now reserved to damage to light attacks and heavy attacks. Okay. Soul Shred. The synergy granted from this ultimate and its abilities now work for allies who are 10 meters or closer to the target rather than 10 meters or further. Sorcerer, Dark Magic, Rune Prison, Defensive Rune. Fix an issue with this ability, Stun, can ignore line of sight or range. Stormcalling, Overload. Fix numerous visual issues in the ultimates and morphs, such as causing your weapons to appear hidden longer than intended, or in some cases, their effects could get stuck in your character. casting other ultimate or an alter while this ultimate or its morphs were toggled, or while now just or its morphs are toggled on will now cause the ultimate to be untoggled. Take a drink there. Fix the issue where the magically restored from this morph would fire even if your lighter type attacks fail to deal damage. Templar, Dawn's Wrath, Sun's Flare, Reflective Light. Fix an issue where this ability could not be used against neutral targets if they're related to the justice system. Restoring Light, Rite of Passage. Fix an issue where this ability cannot be blocked or canceled after beginning it, despite its morphs being able to. Warden, Animal Companion, Fair Guardian. Fix an issue where the summon could not be interrupted. Savage Guardian. Fix an issue where this passive this proc could proc off Feral Guardian and its morphs. Scorch. Fix an issue where the damage of this ability and its morphs could fail to be recognized and direct damage in some instances. Weapon sets from Restoration Staff. Updated the heavy attacks of this weapon to operate more closely with lightning staffs. It will now have 2 minor ticks of damage and then a final larger hit at the very end, rather than 3 continuous ticks of damage. This will fix numerous errors that were sets or passives could fail to recognize the fully charged state of this weapon. Okay. World Vampire, Misforms. Yeah, we just want to overhaul fix of this stuff here. Werewolf. So a whole bunch of changes here as well. Call the Pack. This passive now works with dire rolls summoned by the pack leaders. Person's Bounty. Casting this ability will now fully restore stamina. While the ability is more now slotted, you gain major brutality. Oh, sorry. Casting this ability while at full health now restores stamina. It doesn't get a full heal. Sorry about that confusion. Herstein's Rage. Casting this ability at full health now grades major berserk for 6 seconds, but also causes you to take more damage. Herstein's Fortitude Morph. This ability now increases your health and stamina recovery by a small percentage of healing caused with cap, as well as continuing to increase the base healing of the ability. Piercing Howl. This ability is morphs now deal 10% more damage to enemies who are facing you. Dragonite Heal. Decrease the damage bonus of this morph by 25%, down from 33%, but it now works on enemies who are facing you. Alright. Pounce. This ability has now become Carnage for 5 seconds after casting it, while which allows you to quickly and rend your target, causing them to bleed for 10 seconds with aggressive execute scaling bonus. Brutal Pounce. Carnage now overrides Brutal Carnage, converting it to a conal attack. Each time the enemy is hit by Brutal Carnage, you gain extra weapon damage up to 6 times. Feral Pounce deals damage to the initial hit or the override Feral Carnage, granting stamina. Grant stamina in addition to extending the time to stay werewolf form. A lot of people are probably going to just go for Brutal Pounce, right? Like if you're looking to get on somebody and get execute here, you're not going to care about Feral. Yep, there goes my drink. Roar. This ability now causes enemies to become off balance for 7 seconds. While slotted, this ability is more passively grant major savagery. This morph now applies Minor Maim to enemies for its duration. This morph now increases heavy attack speed by 33% for its duration. So Roar here, I think, is going to be really nice with that other set there. That's going to reduce their armor by 13k, especially in PvP. So yeah, New Moon, that new set, Roar, not a good time. Werewolf Transformation, Pack Leader. This morph no longer causes your dire wolves and to apply Minor Maim to enemies while they deal damage. Instead, while you're transformed, you gain 10% damage mitigation to all passives and grant you you and 11 others nearby with minor courage. All right, so they're kind of making it more trial-based there. That's nice. Guild, silver boats, silver shards. Fishing issue with this issue where you could not use this ability against neutral targets related to justice system. 6 order. Imbue weapon. This morph now heals based heal ranks up to 1% of the damage done per rank rather than 1.1 healing per rank. Mend wounds. Fishing issue with heavy attacks could fail to chain properly after using the ability. Fishing issue where you could still get magicka and heavy magicka from heavy attacking a target with this ability without actually healing them. Undo. Fishing issue with the animation of this ability and its morphs would appear to end abruptly, making the character appeal to jazz hands erratically, if not moved with the rewind. Undaunted. Blood Altar. Fix an issue with the synergy visuals, causing it to fail to appear to some allies as well as appear to enemies. Alliance War support. Barrier. Increase the cost of this ultimate to 250 from 200 to ensure it meets the standards of ultimates that apply to 12 targets. Replenishing Barrier. Fix an issue with the ability could apply to non-group targets. So a little bit of a nerf, but I don't think that's a big of an issue. Champion system. Shadow Strike. Fix the movement issues of this passive. Atronach. Physical weapon experts. This passive now works properly with unarmed, light attacks, and heavy attacks. Why are you attacking people unarmed? Why is that a major issue to fix? All right. Itemization and item sets. Update to Alliance Wars sourced potions to reflect the power of the max level crafted crown potions, resulting in an increase of the resources restored and the duration across the board. They now reflect the following potions. Battle Draughts now mimic Gold Coast. Spell Draughts now mimic Gold Coast spells. And Health Draughts now Survivor Excellers. Okay. Potions that grant detection bonus now properly apply their visual effects. Fiction issue where you can activate certain potions while stunned. Item sets, a whole bunch of changes. See if I can get through all of these here. Ages to Galwin. The set is now a perfected version that empowers 11 allies rather than 3. Again, if you want to apply everyone, right? This no longer has 50% chance to proc. Now instead has 2 seconds cooldown from 1. Fixed an issue where the radius of this bonus was not as large as the tool tipping indicated. Don't know if it's going to be any good because people can get Empower if they need it from other things, and you get a lot of damage from simply... Well, you have to be really good at weaving to get use out of Empower, I think. Maybe this is going to be good, maybe it's not. I'll wait to see somebody gives me the numbers to see if it's actually relevant. Ambra Plasm. This set now grants health recovery alongside of magicka and stamina recovery. Increases the bonus from each recovery from 276 up from 250. All right. Archmage. This set now increases your magic recovery by 360 for 10 seconds after dealing with a fully charged heavy attack, rather than granting 834 magicka whenever you fully charge the heavy attack. Yeah, I can see that working. Now you don't have to do a heavy attack over and over again. You just do a heavy attack once and then you work with it. All right. Ashen Grip. This set now deals damage the same size as Fiery Breath does, reducing the damage, resulting in twice the arc and reach that it previously did, ensuring that more appropriate matches the visual effects. Okay. Horace Curse. Fixed an issue with this set's damage was considered direct damage in some cases. Fixed an issue where the final tick of damage did not heal. Increase the total damage done with this set to 19,404 over its duration, up from 11,000. Okay. Elfbane. This set no longer works with channeled effects or beams. So, I don't think this is going to change a whole lot of stuff with... Yeah, this isn't going to change anything with the current meta that you say inside some of the trials. Like, DK is probably still going to be top thing because they're using Grottar. Zane's, however, is going to be nerfed by this. But you only see that maybe inside duels. And if they're using inside duels, then they're probably... Yeah, they don't really allow it in duels for Zane's. I don't think they allow Elfbane right now either. Ambra Shield. Fix an issue where the damage is considered direct damage instead damage over time. Reduces armor granted from 3,300 down from 3,440. Decreases damage done per tick down from 860 down to 860 down from 1,032. And this set no longer has a proc chance, so it just goes off. Zane's. Yeah, Zane's is a... trying to remember, Scale Collar Peak helmet. Basically shoots a beam out. You have like a 20% chance to proc with light attacks. Zane's. Sorry. I know, I'm pronouncing things all over the place tonight, guys. Even worse than normal. Grace of Gloom. Increase the duration of this set to 10 seconds up from 5. Increase the cooldown to 25 seconds from 15. This set now works properly with Overload and Morse with heavy attacks. Don't think anyone's still going to use it. Hand of Fala. This set now has a negative telegraph to denote the damage area. Alright. Healing Mage. This set now more accurately procs off the abilities to meet the set requirements. Fix an issue with the enemies affected by this debuff in your area or around you do not match the typical sort of selection. Prioritizing nearest enemies. Impregnable Armor. One of the big changes for PvPs. This set now grants 1,650 critical resistance down from 2,000. Again, like I mentioned earlier, they're supposed to be adding in critical resistance to all players. I don't know how much they're adding into all players, though. This is one big nerf, though. And I'm hoping we're going to see what the actual numbers are when we hit PTS. Kvetch Gladiators. This set now increases your damage done by 1,475 against targets under 25%, rather than increase your weapon damage and light attacks and heavy attacks by 1,800 against targets under 25%. So, that is going to be nice for Battlegrounds and especially for snipe builds. If you want to grab that target right before it's going to pop, there you go. Kvetch Gladiator. Especially if you put dots on the player and then just stealth out. I mean, as soon as it hit 25%, your weapon damage is going up by 1,400 there. Leeching Plate. Fix issues with a set would the set's damage would be considered direct damage in some cases. Face some issues with the healing value of this set could be bloated when hitting targets with damage shields. Fix an issue where the final tick of this damage did not heal. Leeching set you probably used in mostly PvE situations with tanks. Same with Horace Curse. Orgrim Scales. This set now increases health recovery to 800 and armor up to 600, 400 when below 60% health, rather than increasing your health recovery by 50% while under 60% health. I think this is still going to be cancer to people inside low B PvP. But maybe this will balance it out a little bit better. I think that the other set... well, there's a few other sets out there that give health recovery. I think this might balance it out a little bit better, but I'd have to do the math here to make sure. Queen's Elegance. This set now causes your light attacks to reduce health, magic, and stamina cost of your next abilities by 10%. And your fully charged heavy attacks to increase the damage of your next direct damage by 2,610. Previously, it would increase light and heavy attacks by 20%. So it's trying to make it a kind of a burst set. Not sure how I feel about this one. Be interested to know that this 2600, is it going to be physical, magical, or is it going to match whatever the next ability that I do is? Reactive Armor. This set now reduces your damage taken by 33% for 5 seconds and can be affected by disabling effects with a 20-second cooldown, rather than reducing your damage taken by 35% while you're disabled. This set now works with snares. So yeah, a lot of people were getting this set here and just like laying back, enjoying like a margarita, while people tried wailing on them with this damage reduction here. And people were just wondering like, why can't I kill this guy? So putting a cooldown on this makes sense. Robes of the Hist. Slightly redesigned this set to apply to heal over time heals for the original value every second for 5 seconds after being hit by disabling effects, rather than healing once every second while under the effect of one. Fixing an issue with the set could trigger off self-imposed snares, or some snares meant to bypass the normal word sets, such as boss mechanics. Roza Translation. Another one that got changed, but this is kind of going the opposite here. This set now grants 1400 critical resistance for 5 seconds with the proc 5 seconds when the proc conditions are met, rather than 1300 for 20 seconds. So they up the critical time, up the critical resistance, but reduce the uptime. Savage Werewolf. Fixed an issue where the set would be doubly proc from dual wield heavy attacks. Savage Defender, or Seneschal Defender. Fixed an issue where this set could be considered beam attacks as direct damage. Charges Mail. Increase the damage bonus from fully charged heavy attacks up to 2,257, up from the 1,634 I had. Tormentor. This set now more accurately describes the ability and how it works, and has a proc condition expanded to work with the more abilities that fall in the standard type it was designed to. Previously, it only worked with abilities that operate as charges, but now works with charges, leaps, teleports, and pulls. This set continues to not work with blinks such as Strike. Vampire Lord. This set now increases bonuses and penalties to your vampire stages in the following accounts. For stages 1, 2, 3, and 4. Flame damage taken 1, 2, 4, and 6%. Regular ability cost increase 1, 2, and 6%. And vampire ability cost decrease 5, 10, 15, and 20%. Winterborn. Fixing an issue where the snare from this set could fail to apply in such situations. Good to see. Monster masks. A lot of changes here. Some are good, some are meh. Balrog. This set now grants weapon damage and spell damage equal to the amount of ultimate spent. Rather than double the amount spent, we grants physical damage and spell penetration equal to 23 times the amount spent. Increasing duration as bonus up to 12 seconds, up from 10 seconds. All right, so 23 times. What does that mean? If you have an ultimate that's 100 ultimate, you're going to be looking at 2300 spell resistance. If you have a ultimate that costs 500, you're going to be looking at 15. Very the thing. Nearly 100,000 spell resistance. Over 100,000 spell resistance. No, not spell resistance. 100,000 penetration. Basically, they're trying to kill tanks in this. They're making it so that you have you're going to have a set that's going to work really well against a tank, but squishy targets not as much as it used to. It's still going to hit. It's still going to hit like a truck on some of those guys, but you're not getting double the damage from that. You're getting more of the penetration there. Don't know if it's really going to work, however. Reason being because tanky builds also tend to have a lot of health, and they also have a lot of abilities that can raise how much health they get based on the amount of health missing. They did reduce healing on one end, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. Bloodspawn. Reduce the armor granted from this down to 3,300. Reduce the ultimate procs from this procs from 8 to 14. Reduce the duration from 5 to 6 seconds. Yeah, Bloodspawn has been around for a while. It has been the de facto tank set for a lot of folks, but this nerf is probably necessary just to make it so that some of the builds are a little bit more on the level with some of the other Monster Helm sets. I think it's still going to be useful. It does give less ultimate. It does have less armor, but a lot of folks are already hitting armor cap, which is about 32k. And the cooldown, 5 seconds. It works. So yeah. Chokethorn. This set now heals for 24,000 over 6 seconds rather than 19,000 over 4 seconds. Increases proc chance up to 15%. Reduce the chance of the beam. Reduces the range of the beam for 28 meters from 15 meters in order to help introduce more counterplay with a stronger heal. Dohamas. Set now grants 300 weapon damage or spell damage while standing in the ring rather than 200. The outer ring now deals 1,380 damage rather than 1,000. Remove the proc chance from the set. Earthgore. This set now heals for 29,700 over 10 seconds rather than 30,000 over 6 seconds to reduce the burst heal potential. Reduce the cooldown from 20 seconds from 35 seconds. So that's fine. Again, this Earthgore was really overused by a lot of folks. I still probably will use it though like this. I mean, they reduce the cooldown. That's all that really matters to me. Engine Guardian. The set now restores 550 magicka or stamina per tick rather than 1,200. Increases the healing to 1,955 per tick, up from 1,200. Reduces the range of the beam from 15 meters down from 28. Fix an issue where the sphere would not attempt to cast after being interrupted. Fix an issue where the cooldown display is incorrect with its actual cooldown. It had been previously played as 10.7, but is now 10 seconds as intended. Yep. So, yeah, a few updates to Engine Guardian. I don't really see a lot of folks using it, but some people are still hardcore devoted to it. Grundlewolf. Reduce the primary resource gain. Reduce the primary resource granted by the set to 700 and the secondary to 350, down from 1,500 respectively. Lambris. Increase the damage done for the meteor shower up from 2,015, up from the 1,170. You can no longer layer each meteor shower. Increase the proc chance up to 33%. Fix an issue where it's triggered by other proc sets. Fix an issue where the flame damage was not extended by Elfbane. Infernal Guardian. Decrease the damage done by each mortar by 4,430, down from 5,000. Fix an issue where the set would fail to proc and hardened enchantment was used as the channel of heavy attack. Kalir's Nightmare. Fix an issue where this damage of the set could fail to inherit some of the bonuses, such as Ancient Knowledge. All right. Kraz. Increase the damage done from the set up to 1,345, up from 1,300. Lord Warden. Reduce the armor bonus from this one-piece set to 1,487, down from 2,975. Decrease the armor bonus from this proc down to 3,180, down from 3,870. Yeah, another tank set that's getting kind of nerfed here. Ooh. Marsalok. Reduce the damage done to 7,200, down from 8,000. Maw of the Infernal. Streamline the damage done by the Dragos attacks, so it always deal 3,865 damage Overtime abilities, durations up to 2 seconds. Down from the varying values, which averaged about 4,257. Daedroth now follow a fixed pattern with its attack combinations, rather than have some random chance to use them. Fixed the issue where the breathing attack was proc burning significantly more frequently than others as intended. Increase the proc chance up to 33%. Daedroth can no longer be targeted. Change the one piece bonus up to 10,096 magicka from 1,206 health. Sorry, lose my voice here, guys. Sorry. Mighty Chuden, reduce the one piece bonus to the armor to 1,487, down from 2,975. Again, nerfing some of the tankier builds out there. Molokina, increase the weapon and spell damage granted from this to 560, up from 516. Mother's Tenet, increase the magicka granted from the set to 822, up from 600. Narayanus, increase the damage down from the set up to 9,393, up from 8,890. Increase the proc chance up to 15% from 10. The one piece bonus of the now grants spell damage rather than max health. Bogdan, increase the healing per tick up to 2,460, down from 2,525. Increase the proc chance up to 20%, up from 10%. Pirate Skeleton, reduce the one piece armor bonus. Again, trying to get these armor procs or these armor bonuses down. Decrease the cooldown of this proc set to 15%, down from 20% or 20 seconds. Increase the proc chance up to 10% from 8%. All right, Malabeths. Decrease the damage. Damage is set to 5,715 over its duration, down from 5,805. Increase the proc chance up to 10% from 8%. Celine's, increase the damage down by the set up to 13,364, up from the 12,000 it was before. Celtrix, increase the damage done by the set by 6,836, up from the 5,030 it was at. This set no longer has a proc chance. This set now has a cooldown for 6 seconds from 5.5 seconds. Sentinel Ragnarok, yeah, whatever. Remove the proc chance for the set. Reduce the tick counter from this. Reduce the tick count from this heal and resource by 1. Increase the max magicka and stamina recovery up to 125 per tick, up from 115. Shadow Rend. This set no longer applies major maim to targets it hits for 3 seconds. Instead, it reduces damage done by 5 seconds. No, instead reduces their damage done by 5% for 2 seconds. The Z buff cannot stack with other sources. So you can't run multiple Shadow Rends to give like infinite, like 5%, 5%, 5%. Significantly reduce the streamline damage, the Clan Fears, to 800 per hit from 3,240. The attacks deals are no longer random. Reduce the cast time for Tail Swipe to 400 milliseconds, reducing the cooldown to 3% or 3 seconds. So they're reducing the damage reduction from this set here. Also reducing the damage from it too. Spawn of Fala. Increase the damage per tick up to 1,340, up from 1,096, which is nice. I really like that set. I would like to see it used more, but it uses heavy attack, which most of us don't want to use in our builds. Stonekeeper. Reduce the health, magicka, and stamina recovered from 2,480 down from 5,350. Reduce the cooldown to 250 milliseconds, down from 1 second, to better match the cooldown's block cost. So basically, more enemies you have hitting you and making it proc, you still get all this other stuff here. But if you have one enemy hitting you at 1 second, you're going to have a huge nerf to this. Stormfist, increase the damage of the final explosion up up to 8,470, up from 8,000. The shock damage to the set now bypasses spell resistance. What? Increases the damage done with a final explosion by 8,470. Shock damage now bypasses spell resistance entirely? I mean, if a stamina person wants to run it, I guess that's good. But I don't like the fact that it's ignoring spell resistance entirely. Like, there's no other helm that does that, right? That might get nerfed. Storm Mother, change the one piece bonus of the set to be to 1096 Mass Magicka and stamina instead of 129 stamina recovery. Okay, yeah. So this is a tanky set here. So changing this over makes sense. Symphony Blades. This set now restores 570 per tick, down from 2,325. The cooldown is now at the cooldown of 18 seconds is now applied per target rather than overall. Yeah, so I think Symphony Blades was overperforming, so that's the reason for that. Thurberkin reduces damage per tick of this set to 100, down from 430. Decrease the cooldown. Increase the cooldown to 16 seconds, up from 8 seconds. Since this set was essentially a permanent and sometimes essentially a permanent and then some uptime of Minor Defile and Maim is strong. It is significantly stronger than other enfeebling sets. We decided to give some extra breathing room for 4 seconds and debuff. Okay. So basically they're focusing on the debuff of this here and reducing the amount of uptime it can have. Tremor Scale. Increase the damage done to 6,000, up from 5,850. Increase the cooldown to 8 seconds, up from 4 seconds. Enemies hit by this damage now have their physical resistance reduced by 2,395 for 8 seconds, rather than being snared. Remove the proc set from this set. Alright, so Tremor Scale here is getting a buff. By removing the snare and the set in the armor shred, functionally you can now be more flexible between content and playstyles that primarily focus on player versus player interaction. So like, yeah, heavy armored enemies are going to get this actual physical resistance or physical damage, or not physical damage, physical debuff, and stamina builds are going to have a better time. In PvE side, I think this is actually going to be fairly, it may or may not be used, but I will say this. There's a lot of folks out there that are saying that this should have spell out there. I don't know if I agree with that, because I've heard it from this argument several times here. It should have spell reduction as well, or sorry, it should reduce spell resistance as well as physical resistance. Don't exactly agree with that. One of the reasons I disagree with it is because if you take a look currently at some of the top runners, a lot of the top runners here are Magicka builds, and they're achieving very high numbers right now. Some of this patch may fix some of that. Don't know if it will or won't, but they're hitting very high numbers, and mostly on Magicka builds. Part of that is because of the passives that Magicka builds have. You have 5-piece bonus, and you have 4,000 spell penetration. Stamina builds typically have to put into physical resistance. Now they have very good numbers when you work on a targeting dummy, but when you're actually fighting enemies, you don't have folks staying around still all the time, and you have your melee folks going in to the brunt of it, especially on enemies that have huge AoE one-shot kills at their feet. While Magicka characters can easily just step back, still do their damage at a very good range, and not have to worry about that so much. I think this might have balance some of that out. So if you have a lot of folks that you run with that are physical based damage dealers, this means they can put a little bit less damage into their you know, sharpened weapons or even the champion points, and you reduce this by an extra 2,395, which is about the average difference I see with a lot of those builds. Now, not saying it's going to be 100% people are going to be using this, but it's interesting to see this. I think it will be used in some dungeons and some trials a bit more, but again, depends on the group. And hopefully I can start seeing some stamina users on the top of those charts over there. Troll King. Reduce the health recovery of the set down to 925, down from 1548. Fixed an issue where this set had a range limit, despite being bound to heals that were already past a range check. All right. So, reduce health recovery. Falcon Scoria. This set one piece bonus now has spell penetration rather than max health. Decreases splash damage as a meteor down to 3,535, down from 4,000. Veldreth. Increase the damage done by this set to 10,752 per spore, up from 10,320. Reduce the cooldown from 8 seconds to 9 seconds. And then Zanz. Decrease the initial damage of the set down to 2,000 from 3,440. Increase the damage done with the stacking bonus up to 100% per stack from 50%. Increase the duration of the Bream from 6 seconds from 5 seconds. Increase the proc chance from 33% from 20%. And it no longer works with Elf Bane, so it doesn't get like extraordinarily big anymore. Now, arena weapons. They've changed a lot of the arena weapons. And they've added in new Maelstrom and DSA perfected weapons. They are not upgrading them at this time. I don't mind it myself. I will run this content again. I will get those weapons. Some of you who ran it the first time and had hell are not going to be able to get it. I feel for you. And I will say that you can do it again. And I'm not going to feel... I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say it's going to be easy the next time, but we've had time playing this game and we're seeing new sets out there that are just really overpowered. So I think if you tried it before and you try it again, you might actually find this a little bit easier. For folks that are complaining that have every damn variation of these arena weapons in the game, run it again. I know you spent hours farming these, but just run it again. You don't have as much issue with some of these other folks that are kind of in the middle ground. I don't know. Yeah, I guess you're entitled to get something for running it over and over again and getting that perfect weapon that one time that you needed it, but come on. You at least got through it the first time. You know you can get through it. You know you're going to have a okay time getting through the veteran versions. I don't know what to say. It sucks that you're not going to get. It sucks that you're not going to get upgraded, but we can get through this. It's easy once you get used to it. Even I have trouble running VMA, and I'm still going to be running this again just to get the perfected weapons. Hope you guys are too. And anyone who did struggle to get through it, I feel for you. I do hope that there's some help I can give. But ultimately, we're not losing any damage from this. You're just going to have something else now you can attain for, you can strive for. Folks that have always had trouble getting through this now are going to be able to get this on the lower difficulty version regardless. And they can actually, I think almost everyone should be able to get through normal now. So that's at least a plus out of this. All right. Love the commentary. Let's get into Asylum first and then take a look down through some of the other ones here. Chaotic Whirlwind. So now they replace this now. Casting Whirlwind now envelops you with the Whirlwind for 6 seconds, which strikes 3 random enemies. Don't like the randomness to this. To deal up to 3,675 physical damage with a 10-second cooldown. The perfect version of this no longer has unique value. Instead, increases up 666. Mark the devil. Weapon critical. Yeah, I don't like this change here. If it was all enemies for physical damage, I'd say okay. But 3 random enemies? You're using this for AoE crowd stuff here. You're not doing this for, like, I don't know, gambling. Concentrated Force. Perfected the version of this no longer has a unique value. Instead, it grants up to 103 spell damage. Fixed an issue with this set was allowing elemental attacks to proc with their practice status for a short duration after reaching the proc condition, rather than immediately applying each elemental status effect. Fixed an issue with this set could fail to apply if you bar swap before it landed. Defensive position. Increase the base restore to 2,200 magicka, with a maximum to restore of 6,600. Prevented version of this no longer has a unique value. Instead, grants up to 877 stamina. Defensive slash. Reduce the maximum ultimate return for this to 12, down from 15. Fix an issue with ultimate restore started at 48.9 rather than 49.9. Fix an issue. Who's been testing in PvP to make sure, like, okay, I hit that guy at 49.9% on the dot. Where is that more ultimate there? Fix an issue with this, where the restore could return 0 despite the FX proccing. It is now restore a minimum of 1 ultimate whenever it procs if target is if the procs on target's low enough. The pro version no longer has a unique value. Instead, grants up to 877 stamina. Piercing spray. Enemies hit with your arrow spray. Now their physical resistance reduced by 6,600 against incoming bow attacks for 10 seconds. Perfected version of this has a unique value. No longer has a unique value, and instead grants up to 1,190 physical penetration. Okay, so interesting question I have here. Is that reduction for all of my bow abilities, or is that all bow abilities? So if I run this with a bunch of, let's say, Necro and Wardens bow builds, and I run this one and I arrow spray every 10 seconds, does that mean that they're going to have their physical resistance reduced for everyone else that's casting their bow abilities? Interesting concept. Don't know if it's going to be enough to get people interested unless it's a group buff. Timeless Blessing. Reduce the cost reduction of the set to 21%, down from 27%. Perfected this version no longer grants a unique value. Instead grants up to 877 max magicka. Black Rose Prison. Gallant Charge. Reduce the perfected version of this armor to 1,190. Mentor's Ward. Reduce the duration of major vitality to 2 seconds, down from 3. Reduce the perfected versions of the magic recovery down to 103. Radial Uppercut. This set now deals 45% damage to with the uppercut to all nearby targets, rather than just 100% to one nearby target. So no randomness anymore. Everyone is getting 45% more damage. Reduces the perfected version of penetration to 1,190. Spectral Cloak. This set now increases your damage done and reduces your damage taken by 10% for 2 seconds when dealing damage with Blade Cloak, rather than granting you major protection for 3 seconds after casting it. Reduce the perfect version stamina recovery down to 103. So this set now increases your damage done and reduces your damage taken by 10% for 2 seconds while dealing damage with Blade Cloak. So the question I have there is, does that stack with how many people are around you that get hit by it? So if I go into a group of 10 people Am I going to be raising my damage? Am I going to be raising my damage done by 100%? Or reducing my damage taken by 100%? Or is it just going to be 110? It's got to be 110%, right? They wouldn't make it so you could get 100% damage reduction and 100% damage increase, right? I hope not. We'll see. All right, Virulent Shot. Increasing the damage. This set is done by 65%. Damage done by your scatter shot from 50%. I can't read anymore. Increasing the damage done by 60. Okay, they increase the damage up to 65% from 50% with scatter shot. Got it. Reduce the perfected version of the weapon critical to 666 weapon critical. Again, Mark of the Devil. Wild Impulse. Increase the damage done by this set by 3,965 per elemental tick, up from its 3,333. Reduce the perfected version spell penetration to 1,190. Dragon Star Arena. Finally, our master weapons are getting updated. This set now grants up to 330 weapon damage against targets affected with a poison arrow, up from 300. This set now has a perfected version that gives you 100 or 103 weapon damage. Destructive Impact. This set now grants up to 600 spell damage for 4 seconds after casting Destructive Touch. Reduces cost reduction to Destructive Touch to 10%, down from 30%. This set now has a perfected version, which gives 103 spell reduction. Grand Rejuvenation. This set now grants up to 117 Magicka and Stamina to targets affected, up from 100. This set now has a perfected version with an extra 877 Magicka. Puncturing Remedy. Increase the healing granted from this ability to 6,130, up from 2,500, which is a pretty big one. Increase the duration of the armor bonus to 5 seconds, up from 3. The armor granted from this set will now incorporate the armor granted from this set will now incorporate overhealing into this calculation, ensuring that it will always grant the benefit while engaging it. This set now has a perfected version, which grants up to 3% healing taken. Okay. Stinging Slash. Okay, so basically what this means here is if I understand this correctly here, the healing taking will increase this here, and the armor bonus given to this based on this will now increase. So the more healing that you can take in, the more armor you should be able to get, if I'm understanding that properly. Stinging Slashes. This set now increases any instance of damage done by Twin Slash by 2,102, rather than only the bleed damage from 1,600. This set now has a perfected version with 666 weapon critical. Titanic Cleave. Increases stacking damage of the set up to 1,550, up from 1,500. Increase the target cap to 24, up from 6. Note, we are closely monitoring how frequently this utter devastation allows utter devastation in large groups, and will address it appropriately. So it will basically, they were looking for a proxy debt type of situation here. This now is a perfected version, which also grants up 1,190 physical penetration. So yeah, if you're going PvP and you want to proc it with proxy debt or something else like that, that's kind of nasty. Not to say you would use proxy debt on a stamina build. Well, I have seen it used before. It's actually interesting. But up to 24 people with that. I don't think I don't know. I can't see myself living through 24 folks. I could get the cleave off, but still, they're going to be bashing on me pretty good. And that's a bleed. It's not an instant ability. Well, we'll see. If they really want to make this like a nice way to deal with large groups, they can increase the damage here based on each target it hits. So like you get maybe an extra 500 damage per person it hits. Maybe, oh no, that's probably too much. Yeah, of course that's too much. Maybe 50 damage per person hit. So leave it at that 1500. Raise it up by 50 every person it hits. You see some people dropping pretty quick. Maelstrom Arena. Cruel Fury. Increase the weapon damage and spell damage granted from this set up to 1690, up from 1000. This set is now a perfected version with 103 weapon damage. Crushing Wall. Increase the damage done damage bonus from the set up to 1353, up from 1341. This set has a perfected version with 1190 spell penetration. Merciless Charge. Increase the damage done by this set to 10,000 over its duration, up from 7,200. The damage done is now once again labeled as a bleed. This now has a perfected version, granting up to 1,190 physical penetration. Precise Regeneration. Decrease the magicka granted from the set down to 500, or is now at 500, down from 800. Removes a cooldown for the set, though to note you cannot proc the event simultaneously with critical heals from Radiant Regeneration. This set now has a perfected version with 666 spell critical rating. Rampaging Slash. Decreases magicka and stamina restored from the set to 1904, down from 2000. This set now has a perfected version with 77 magicka and stamina recovery. Thunderous Volley. This set now increases the damage done to your volley to 430 and increases by 143 per tick, up from 320 and increasing up 110 per tick. This set now grants up a maximum of 8 times with continuous stacking. The set now has a perfected version with 666 weapon critical rating. I'm not sure where the Thunderous Volley. I mean, that's always been kind of popular as it is for Trials run, so I'm not sure why they buffed it even more. Traits. Reduce the armor trait impenetrable to 700 or 172, down from 258. Fixing an issue where pets cannot inherit the bloodthirsty and charged traits. So they kind of buried the lead with all this other stuff here down here that, look here. They're reducing the impenetrable down to 172 from its 258. They're supposed to be adding in more base critical, but they're reducing the amount of armor reduction or the critical reduction from impenetrable down to 172. That's kind of big. So whatever that base, it's got to be high, right? They reduce all those other sources here, so folks are going to be popping inside of Cyrodiil. Alliance War and PvP added extra measures to make prevent Volan Drug from being held longer than intended or being interacted with while dying or moving. This fix should also help the interaction with Chaos Balls or Relics in Battlegrounds games. All right. Our animations, crafting and economy, dungeons, group and content, bunch of achievement fixes and quest fixes, events and celebration, Prassiaggio, Jester's Festival, Meteor Mayhem, New Life, Undaunted, Exploration, renamed Bloody Mary and Disastrous Bloody Mary to Purifying and Corrupted, adjusting glossiness of frozen blood types, adjusted beast personalities, standardization of description of rare fish, updated number of siege weapons, not have the vendor value to be consistent with our standards and similar items, clarified wording, corrected several minor typos, achievements, housing, miscellaneous, fix a rare crash in Cyrodiil where periodic unloading and unused animations happened. So maybe this gets rid of the crash that some folks have inside of keeps. Fix an issue where very rare client crashes could occur randomly. Very rare. Very rare. Optimization of load screen to reduce CPU usage. Fix a crash that would occur after activating block while standing from a chair. Made additional improvements to this tool, including the addressing several edge cases which were occurring cured player logged off and disconnected, as well as some ready check display issues. So activity finder should be a little bit better. Mac LAN client. The client now is now compatible with dark mode. Monsters, NPCs, abilities, updates, quests and zones, UI. You can also receive correct error messages when losing internet connection. Improve reliability and accuracy on quest-related icons. Added additional messages for active events, so it's clear when the event is active and how much time is remaining. Adjusted the position of go to entrance button for house purchases to avoid collision and with long zone names. Fixed an issue with some supported text characters would not display correctly in the Japanese client. Fix an issue with multiple UI errors that occur with the automatic settings. Fix issues with social listings such as guild roster updates, cause your position to reset in the list. Fix an issue where going to the menu directly from the outfit station would not warn you about losing your changes. Fix a UI error that would occur when leaving the outfit station. Fix added Russian as a language option for the guild finder. Actually, a lot of folks have been asking for some Russian translations lately, I've seen. Fix issue of the guild stores, yada yada yada. Help in tutorials. Search help no longer results in some entries showing duplicates. Created some new help entries to help with werewolves and vampires. Tooltips updated tooltips for undaunted skill lines to be more informative. Yay! Give it an awesome. All right, so that is a very long list of changes. My voice is starting to go here. I'm gonna get on PTS very shortly. Folks that are watching on YouTube, I hope you enjoyed. All this stuff will be linked down in the very bottom. And yeah, Greymoor's here, guys. We got to try it on PTS. There's no NDA. If you can download it and you're on PC, go ahead. PC NA is this week. Next week or the following week is going to be European. So enjoy it, test it out, see if you like it. Put out any feedback onto the ESO forums. And hey,